Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving deep into forgiveness today.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And get this, we're using freedomandforgiveness.pdf as our guide.
Okay.
This book, let me tell you, it really digs into what forgiveness really means.
Right.
Not just like, saying the words, but how it impacts our lives,
Yeah, definitely.
Like for real.
It's a whole process.
It is, and a powerful one too, from what I'm gathering so far.
Absolutely. And right off the bat,
Yeah,
the book challenges us to think differently about what forgiveness is.
I like that.
It makes this really clear distinction between saying, I forgive you, and actually letting go of the hurt, genuinely letting go.
There's this story about Daisy and her mom.
Oh, yeah.
It paints such a vivid picture of this.
Yeah.
So Daisy's mom claimed she forgave her for something that happened when she was a kid, but she constantly brought it up. Like every argument, almost like a weapon.
Like the classic example of what the book calls conditional forgiveness.
Well, that makes sense.
You say you forgive, but your actions don't match up at all.
Have you ever experienced that? Like someone saying they forgive you?
Oh, totally.
But then bam, they use it against you later.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Exactly. That kind of fake forgiveness, it doesn't help anyone.
No, it just keeps the hurt alive.
It does, and can really mess up relationships too.
So then what does true forgiveness actually look like?
Okay, so it's about acknowledging the hurt without letting it control you.
Gotcha.
And a key point the book makes is true forgiveness isn't about the other person at all.
Really?
It's about releasing yourself from the burden of carrying all that anger and resentment around.
Ooh, that's interesting.
It's for you.
I like that. So it's like breaking free from a prison.
Exactly. And there's actually science to back this up.
Oh, tell me more.
There's this study from the U.S. National Library of Medicine. They found a link between forgiveness and, get this, improved heart health.
Wow. So holding on to all that anger,
it's literally bad for you.
Is bad for your heart.
Yeah.
No kidding. But how does that even work?
Right, what's the connection there?
Yeah, between emotions and physical health?
Well, the book dives into this concept of chronic stress.
Okay.
Which often comes from holding on to unforgiveness, right? And it releases these hormones like cortisol, which over time can have some seriously negative effects on our cardiovascular system.
Makes sense.
So on the other hand, forgiveness helps reduce that stress.
Okay.
Promotes feelings of peace and well-being.
Right.
And those have positive physical effects.
That was like a double whammy.
Yes.
Stress relief and heart protection.
Pretty powerful, right?
I'm loving this. And the book shares some amazing stories.
Yeah.
Of people who've experienced this firsthand.
Like real life examples.
Exactly. There's one about two women, Annie and Claire.
Okay.
They both went through some tough betrayals in their marriages.
Oh, wow.
But Annie, she chose to see her pain as a chance to grow.
Well, Claire
stayed stuck in that bitterness,
Yeah, I can imagine.
And you can probably guess who ended up happier.
Definitely.
Right. Annie's story shows us that forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was okay.
No, not at all.
It's about realizing you have a choice.
Yeah.
You can either let the hurt define you, or you can use it to grow.
Powerful stuff.
It is. But the book also makes it clear that not forgiving,
what about
that has consequences.
Oh, absolutely. It talks about this idea of imprisonment.
Ooh, interesting.
Being imprisoned by unforgiveness. It explains how negative emotions like anger and resentment, they can totally consume your thoughts and actions.
Oh, I see.
Lead to isolation, even addiction in some cases.
Like you're chained to those feelings.
Exactly.
And that stops you from being truly free and happy.
There's this story about Ian.
Okay.
He carried this resentment towards his dad for years.
For what?
For what he thought were wrongs, But it wasn't until he became a father himself that he realized he had totally misjudged his dad's actions.
So his own unforgiveness blinded him.
Yeah, to the bigger picture.
It's like a wall between him and his father.
Totally. Blocking that connection and understanding.
And it kept him trapped in all that negativity.
And here's a question for you listening.
Ooh, I like this.
What freedom might you be sacrificing by holding on to a grudge?
That's deep. And the book goes even deeper,
Oh, yeah.
Talks about forgiving ourselves, which...
Let's be honest, that's the hardest part.
It's so tough. We're our own worst critics.
Absolutely.
There's this story about Elisa.
Okay.
A survivor of domestic abuse.
Oh, wow.
She really struggled with self-blame and low self-esteem.
It's understandable.
It is. And her journey shows how important it is to remember...
What's that?
That forgiving yourself doesn't erase the past.
Right.
It's about acknowledging what happened, accepting responsibility if you need to, and choosing to move forward with compassion.
For yourself.
Exactly. And understanding.
Forgiving yourself opens up healing and growth.
And a chance for a brighter future.
It does. It's like giving yourself permission to learn from those mistakes.
And to believe you're worthy of love and forgiveness.
Yes.
Powerful stuff. So what's one tiny step you could take today?
That's a good question.
To start forgiving yourself. Even a small act of self-compassion can make a difference.
It can.
Now, the cool thing is, this book doesn't just tell us why forgiveness is important.
Right.
It gives us actual tools.
Oh, I like that.
To help us achieve it.
Yeah.
And one of the key ones is meditation.
You know, people often think of meditation as
like this mystical thing.
Yeah, but the book brings it down to earth, you know?
And is it practical?
Exactly. It explains how meditation can help create space between our emotions and our reactions.
Oh, interesting. So instead of getting swept away by anger,
yeah,
you can observe those feelings without judgment.
And then you can choose a better way to respond.
Makes sense.
The book actually walks us through a specific breathing technique.
Oh, really? What is it?
You inhale for 8 counts, hold for 5, and exhale for 10.
Have you tried this?
I have. It sounds simple.
Yeah.
But it takes practice to quiet those thoughts.
I bet.
The key is to do it consistently.
Makes sense.
Even for a few minutes each day.
Yeah.
You can start rewiring your brain to be more present, less reactive.
So it's not about being a meditation master overnight.
Nope.
It's about creating that space to respond to tough situations with more intention and wisdom.
Exactly. And that ability to create space is so important for forgiveness.
Okay, I'm following you. And there's this other concept, the law of forgiveness.
Interesting. What's that?
It sounds kind of mystical.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's actually about cause and effect.
Oh, okay.
Like our actions, thoughts, and feelings, they all have consequences.
Makes sense.
It's not about some magical force.
No.
It's understanding that what we put out into the world,
we get back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we're always holding on to anger and resentment, we're basically attracting more negativity.
The book tells the story about William.
Okay.
He was so resentful towards his colleagues that it was actually preventing him from getting promoted.
Oh, wow. So his resentment was holding him back.
It was. And once he started practicing forgiveness, his whole life changed.
Really?
He let go of the past, his relationships improved, and he finally achieved his goals.
So forgiveness is not just about feeling good.
Right.
It can have real tangible impacts on our lives.
It can.
Wow, I'm seeing forgiveness in a whole new light now.
I'm glad. It's pretty powerful stuff.
It is. But let's get practical for a sec.
Yeah, okay.
What are some steps we can take to actually cultivate more forgiveness?
Well, the book really emphasizes mindfulness.
Mindfulness, okay.
It's about becoming aware of our thoughts and feelings without judgment.
I like that.
So instead of getting carried away by anger or resentment, we learn to just observe those feelings, like clouds passing by.
That's a great analogy. And that's where meditation comes in, right?
Exactly. Those practices we talked about can be really helpful.
Yeah.
Practicing mindfulness, whether it's through meditation or other techniques, helps us create that space between our emotions and our reactions.
I see. So we can choose how to respond.
Exactly.
Instead of just reacting impulsively.
Yeah, you take a pause, take a breath, and then choose a better path.
The book also talks about empathy.
Empathy, yeah.
Trying to see things from the other person's perspective, even if we don't agree with their actions.
Exactly. Sometimes understanding the why behind someone's behavior, even if we don't condone it, can make it easier to let go of that resentment.
I can see that.
It doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can help us approach it with more compassion.
It's like that saying, hurt people hurt people.
Right.
A lot of times, the people who hurt us, they're acting out of their own unresolved issues.
It's true. And while it doesn't justify their actions, it can help us see them as fellow human beings.
Right, who are struggling just like us.
It can soften our hearts and make forgiveness feel more attainable.
It's about remembering we're all perfectly imperfect.
We all make mistakes.
And we all have things we regret.
It's true.
And that brings us back to self-forgiveness.
Which, as we said, can be the hardest kind.
Because we are so hard on ourselves.
We are. The book reminds us that we deserve that same compassion and grace
that we extend to others.
It's true.
It's like giving ourselves permission to learn from our mistakes.
And move on without carrying that baggage.
Exactly.
Self-forgiveness is about recognizing that we're worthy of love and forgiveness.
Even when we mess up.
Even when we mess up. It's about letting go of the past and embracing the possibility of growth.
Right, hitting the reset button.
Yes.
Giving ourselves a fresh start.
And that brings us back to the transformative power of the law of forgiveness.
That idea that our thoughts and feelings impact the world around us.
Exactly. The book suggests that by choosing forgiveness, we not only liberate ourselves from the burden of the past, but we also contribute to a more positive and harmonious world.
Like we're planting seeds of kindness and understanding.
And those seeds have the potential to grow into something much bigger.
I love that image. It makes me realize that even my personal struggles with forgiveness, they can actually play a role in creating a more compassionate world.
You got it. Each choice we make to forgive, whether it's ourselves or someone else, contributes to this collective shift in consciousness.
It's like we're all part of this big orchestra.
I like that.
And every act of forgiveness adds to this symphony of peace.
Beautiful.
The book points out that the happiest countries,
they
prioritize things like trust, generosity, freedom of choice.
Interesting.
Qualities closely linked to forgiveness.
It's like forgiveness creates the perfect environment.
For happiness and well-being.
Exactly. Both personally and globally.
So it's not just about feeling good individually.
No.
It's about creating a society where everyone can thrive.
And that thriving starts with forgiveness.
It's the foundation for strong relationships, healthy communities.
And ultimately, a more peaceful world.
Okay, I'm convinced. Forgiveness is the way to go.
I agree.
But let's be real, it's not always easy.
You're right, it's not.
Sometimes the hurt is so deep.
It can feel impossible to let go.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Forgiveness is a journey, not a destination.
It is.
And there will be bumps along the way.
There will be times when it feels incredibly difficult.
Like those old wounds resurface.
And that anger or resentment flares up again. It's true. It's like taking 2 steps forward and then bam.
Back to square one.
Yeah, how do we deal with those setbacks?
Exactly. How do we keep going when it feels like those old hurts keep coming back?
The book reminds us it's okay to feel those emotions.
Okay.
It's part of the process.
Really?
Those old wounds need attention.
So it's not about pretending we're fine.
No.
When we're not.
Forgiveness isn't about denying or suppressing our feelings.
Oh, I see.
It's about acknowledging them, letting ourselves feel them, and then choosing to move through them.
So we don't have to pretend everything's okay.
Right.
But we also don't let those feelings control us.
Exactly. We can choose to observe those feelings, maybe even with a bit of curiosity.
Curiosity, huh?
Yeah, like what can we learn from them? What are they trying to teach us?
Interesting.
And then we can breathe through them, remind ourselves that we have the power to choose a different path.
That's where those mindfulness practices come in.
Exactly.
They give us the tools to handle those tough emotions without being overwhelmed by them.
The book makes this great analogy. It compares forgiveness to a muscle.
Okay.
That we strengthen with each act of compassion and understanding.
Like working out.
Just like any muscle, it takes time and effort to develop.
Right.
You're not going to run a marathon without training.
True.
And you're not going to master forgiveness overnight.
So it's a process.
It's a process. It's okay to be patient with ourselves.
I like that. No pressure to be perfect right away.
Exactly. It's about progress, not perfection.
And we should celebrate those small wins along the way.
Absolutely. Every time we choose to forgive, even in a small situation, we're making that forgiveness muscle stronger.
So, like, even letting go of that frustration when someone cuts you off in traffic.
Exactly. That can be a step towards a more forgiving heart.
It's like shifting our automatic response.
From resentment and anger
to understanding and compassion.
Exactly. And the book also reminds us that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened.
Right, we're condoning it.
It's about releasing the hold that the past has on us.
On our present and future.
It's about focusing on creating a brighter future.
Not dwelling on those past hurts.
That's a really important point. Forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was okay. It's about recognizing that we have a choice.
We can either let those experiences define us, hold us back,
or we can let them go and move forward with a lighter heart.
It's like setting ourselves free.
From the prison of the past, exactly.
Wow.
True forgiveness is an act of liberation.
For ourselves and those we forgive.
It breaks that cycle of pain and negativity.
Making space for healing and growth.
And allows us to move forward with a more open mind.
And a greater sense of peace.
It's amazing how forgiveness can have such a profound impact.
It really is. It's like this hidden power
that can transform everything.
This deep dive is definitely giving me a lot to think about.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's clear that forgiveness is more than just a nice idea.
It's a powerful tool.
For a more fulfilling life.
And for a more peaceful world.
Absolutely. So any final thoughts before we wrap up this part of our deep dive?
Just remember, forgiveness is a journey. It takes time. Be patient with yourself, celebrate those small victories, and never underestimate the power of choosing forgiveness.
Powerful words. I love that. And you know what? I think we need to take a quick break. We'll be back soon to explore even more about this amazing concept of forgiveness.
Yeah, it's like sometimes those old hurts have a way of sneaking back in.
I do. It's like we take 2 steps forward and then, boom, something triggers us and we're right back where we started.
Exactly. So how do we deal with those setbacks? How do we keep moving forward on this path of forgiveness when it feels like we're constantly battling those old hurts?
Well, the book reminds us that it's okay to feel those emotions. It's part of the healing process. Those old wounds need healing. Forgiveness isn't about denying or suppressing our feelings. It's more about acknowledging them, allowing ourselves to feel them, and then choosing to move through them.
So it's not about pretending that everything's fine when it's not.
No, not at all. It's more about recognizing that those feelings are temporary.
They don't have to control us. Exactly. We can choose to observe those feelings without judgment, maybe even with a sense of curiosity, like, what can I learn from this? What is this feeling trying to tell me? And then we can breathe through them, remind ourselves that we have the power to choose a different path.
And that's where those mindfulness practices we talked about earlier can really come in handy, right?
Absolutely. They give us the tools to navigate those challenging emotions without getting completely swept away by them.
So we can ride the wave, so to speak, instead of getting knocked over by it.
Exactly. The book makes this great analogy. It compares forgiveness to a muscle.
A muscle, I like that.
It's a muscle that we strengthen with each act of compassion and understanding.
Okay, so the more we practice forgiveness, the stronger that muscle gets.
Precisely. Just like any muscle, it takes time and effort to develop. You're not going to run a marathon without training, and you're not going to master forgiveness overnight. It's a process, and it's okay to be patient with ourselves along the way.
That's reassuring to hear. I think sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to get it right, to forgive perfectly.
It's true, but it's about progress, not perfection. And it's important to celebrate those small victories along the way. Every time we choose to forgive, even in a seemingly small situation, we're strengthening that forgiveness muscle and making it easier to forgive in more challenging situations.
So even something as simple as letting go of the frustration when someone cuts us off in traffic.
Exactly. That can be a step towards cultivating a more forgiving heart.
It's like shifting our default setting from resentment and anger to understanding and compassion.
You got it. And the book also makes a really important point. It reminds us that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened or condoning the offense. It's about releasing the grip that the past has on our present and future. It's about choosing to focus on creating a brighter future rather than dwelling on past hurts.
It's about breaking free from the chains of the past, right?
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we have a choice. We can either let those past experiences define us and hold us back, or we can choose to let them go and move forward with a lighter heart.
It's like we're choosing to set ourselves free from the prison of the past.
You nailed it. The book emphasizes that true forgiveness is an act of liberation, both for ourselves and for those we forgive. It breaks the cycle of pain and negativity, creating space for healing and growth. It allows us to move forward with a more open mind and a greater sense of peace.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as forgiveness can have such a profound impact on our lives and on the world around us. It's like we're tapping into a source of incredible power that has the potential to transform everything.
That's the beauty of forgiveness. It's not about weakness, it's about strength. It takes a lot of courage and inner strength to choose forgiveness, especially when we've been deeply hurt. But the rewards are immeasurable.
This deep dive has been incredibly insightful. It's clear that forgiveness isn't just a feel-good concept. It's a powerful tool for creating a more fulfilling and meaningful life, and for contributing to a more peaceful and compassionate world.
I couldn't agree more. Remember, forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and never underestimate the power of choosing forgiveness.
Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the world of forgiveness. I hope you've been inspired to explore the power of forgiveness in your own life and to embrace the freedom that comes with letting go. Remember, every act of forgiveness, no matter how small, makes a difference. So go out there and be the change you want to see in the world.